judgment. And he wrote what's important to us today, grace and mercy. I hope you get that. All right. Go back to John. Now you can see why this series about the Gospel of John is taking me so long. And he stooped down again and began writing on the ground. And when they heard what he was saying, this is interesting. All the Pharisees and scribes who brought her in with rocks in their hands, it says they began to leave one at a time. It means they were thinking about it. And they let down the rock, and they turned on the left, and it says they left from the oldest to the youngest. What does that mean? Time gives you some experience, guys.
Yeah.
Somebody older than you, don't take this wrong, smarter than you. He's been through what you've been through more times than you have.
Yeah.
So all these religious guys were sitting there thinking about it, and all of a sudden they saw one of the old guys, one of the wise guys, let go of his rock and leave. And then another one, he let go of his rock and he left. And they kept doing that one at a time. It says one at a time they left. And I think probably the youngest one, the most religious, fired up religious youngest one, he looked around and realized, I'm the only one here with the rock. I think I'll go too. And he left. Listen. They left one by one, beginning with the old ones. And then it was just Jesus and the woman sitting there for a minute. And she was still in the midst. And standing up, well, it says straightening up, it means he stood up again. And Jesus says to her, and it may have been Mary Magdalene, I don't know. Where are they? Did nobody condemn you? And she said, nobody did, Lord. And he says this, neither do I. Now go. Sin no more. That's a whole Bible right there. That's this whole message. There's so many churches and so many religions today. But you know what they do? When somebody messes up, when somebody gets caught doing something they ought not be doing, they basically, not literally, but they basically stone them. With their words, with their comments, with their articles. You know what they're doing? They're not physically, but they're trying to emotionally kill them. They're trying to spiritually destroy their ministry. They're trying to kill them. And, you know, I want to be more like Jesus and say, yeah, that person's busted. Yeah, that person violated the law. Yeah, that person shouldn't be doing that. But you guys, which one of you pastors and preachers and ministers and prophets or whatever, which one of you guys has never done anything wrong? You're right the first time. You be the first one to get in the pulpit and cuss them out. And you know what? If they were really open-hearted and honest, they'd probably leave. One at a time, the oldest. They'd probably leave. And you know what Jesus is saying to them? I mean, when that guy, or woman or whatever, when you fall on your knees, he'll pick you up and he'll say, I'm not condemning you. Don't misunderstand that. That doesn't mean I approve of what you're doing. It means I'm not going to condemn you. Now don't do it anymore. That ought to be your message to your whoever, your mom, your dad, your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, people you work with, your best friend. When they call themselves a Christian, they claim to be born again or saved or whatever, and they blow it. I mean, you know, you have to go bail them out of jail for drunk driving or whatever. Churches are ready to stone them. You know what you ought to do? You ought to say, buddy, I'm not here to condemn you. I don't do that. to be your attitude. That's what Jesus would do. I could stay here all day talking about those 2 points. See, and people, they misunderstand this. They think that when Jesus was saying, I don't condemn you, that, oh, what he was saying was it's okay. He was approving. No, it's not what he was saying. Do you know that? All right, let me do this, and then I'll leave it. Whoever's watching this, if you got kids, if you're a father or a mother, if you've got any kids, especially if they're teenagers or whatever, or older, you'll understand me very well. There is a fine line difference between 2 big things. There's approval and acceptance. They're 2 different things, but there's just a little tiny fine line that separates them. God was not approving of what she had done, but he was accepting her. I've got 3 sons, and they're all grown. And when they were growing up, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, and when they were teenagers, and even when they were in their early 20s, guess what? They did some things I did not approve of. But they're my sons, and I accept them. Period.
Amen.
If you claim to be a Christian, if you're a child of God, I got good news, bad news for you. You got to understand the difference here. God does not approve of everything you do, but you're his child, he accepts you. And that's where you either get it or you don't. Are you saying that it's okay to sin? Nope. It will have consequences. See here, let me give you another example to the kids, in relation to kids. My kids could do, and yours could do things, bad things, wrong things, stupid things, criminal things that are going to cause them consequences. They're going to reap what they sow. They could do something stupid and end up with some bad consequences. Does that mean you, mom and dad, were the ones that punished them? No. And stuff happens. So when, and this is where churches mess it up. They see somebody who claims to be a Christian get in trouble, do stupid things, do really bad things they shouldn't have done, and end up reaping bad consequences. They'll twist that around and say, see, God taught him and God's punishing him. No. You reap what you sow. You do bad things, you're going to reap some bad results, but God is not punishing you.
Amen.
That's the way it is. That's just the way it is. If my kids, if they ever did anything wrong, they might suffer some consequences, but that doesn't mean me and angel punished them. You get this?
Amen.
And that's what Jesus was saying here. He was going, hey, where's everybody that condemned you? They're gone. I don't condemn you either. Now don't do it anymore. And that ought to be what you tell people. When they come to you, oh, you can't believe what I did. Oh, I know God's mad at me. God's condemning me. No, God's not condemning you, and neither am I. Because he accepts you, child. And he doesn't approve of this, so therefore don't do it anymore. Because you're going to end up reaping some bad consequences. If you keep living this lifestyle, if you keep staying drunk, or you keep doing these drugs, or you keep whoring around, you're going to eventually reap the consequences. It doesn't mean God's mad at you. It doesn't mean God's punishing you. And it doesn't mean that God no longer accepts you. What it means is he doesn't approve of this, and he's trying to warn you, sweetheart, you're not ready to reap some bad fruit from what you're planting. So go and don't do it anymore. Okay. I think I should probably leave.